Welcome to our podcast. Rise Life Services presents Talk to Me, hosted by the Enrichment Experience Suicide Prevention Program. Enjoy the talk. Our disclaimer: Aid to the Developmentally Disabled, Inc., DBA, Rise Life Services. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Rise Life Services. The material and information presented here is for general discussion purposes only. Rise Life Services, name and all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owner, with no intent to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. In addition, it does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. The information provided and discussed is not for professional advice. Rise Life Services is not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. You should always consult with your own personal mental health provider and/or professional prior to taking any action based upon information presented. If you are thinking about suicide, struggling with substance use, experiencing a mental health crisis, or any other kind of emotional distress, you can call, text, or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, connecting you to trained crisis counselors 24/7. In case of an emergency, call 911.
Hi everybody, and welcome back to our podcast, Talk to Me, presented by Rise Up Services Enrichment Experience Program. My name is Caitlin, and here we have Eric and Jocelyn. So today's topic is change, because, everyone goes through changes no matter what it is. So
there's always some kind of form of change, whether it's changing schools or changing jobs, changing positions. It all depends on what you are considering change. I feel like everybody kind of goes through it and sees it differently.
Exactly. Like, even as humans, we go through puberty, so that's a big change. Even when you finish with school, you still have your, you go on to adult life, which is like starting work or college. And that's a huge change, becoming an adult and being independent. So it's not always easy, but
it's not. There's a whole bunch of things you have to start to really look for once you've hit that, like, adulthood, as they say. You got to start thinking about bills. You got to start thinking about being able to take care of yourself, finding a job to maintain, and not just think of it as like, okay, I'm just going to get money so I can buy the things that I want now. It's more than just that.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, when some of those big changes come, even just from, middle school to high school to college to adulting,
yeah.
The change, it definitely always comes, and there's always new challenges that pop up, and I definitely think, like you mentioned, over time, learning how to take care of yourself, no matter what the change is, is always important. And if life changes, how you're going to take care of yourself might change too. So it's important to keep up on that and kind of check in with yourself, I think.
I think a good thing to have during these changes is definitely like a good support system. Because, like, for example, myself right now, I'm going through a huge change with moving, locations and changing jobs. It's a huge change because now I have to figure everything out. Like, okay, I'm back at home with my parents, so I have to readjust, living with them and not being on my own. And sometimes these changes happen, whether you like it or not. This isn't something I went out and chose for myself. Like, it's just nature's course, I guess, but what's really helping me get through it is literally those who care about me. Like, I have my best friend who's constantly checking in on me, making sure I'm okay. my team here, like, they're always making sure I'm okay. They do everything possible to make sure that I'm pushing through and I'm not just stuck in what I would say, like, this dark area, you know? So whether that's you're changing schools, you have to make sure you have your friends or your family to really be there and support you and guide you through it. Even if you have to tell them, like, I just need you to listen for a second, let me get this out, and have them be there for you.
What Jocelyn just said is really great. Excuse her voice. She just lost her voice a little bit. But to back off what she said, which was great. To back off a little bit of that, I would say the support system is really great because without one, like, you are kind of lost, and all these sudden changes, you can't lose yourself when something changes so suddenly, and you still have to, like, try to enjoy the things you were once enjoying and try to still move on with life and get back on your feet and still stay positive, even though sometimes you may not want to. And as you know, like, as difficult as that may be, it is, you still have to continue on with life.
Even though, like, sometimes you don't want to continue pushing through, because, like, I still have moments where I'm like, I can't do it anymore. You know, like, you start to lose hope within yourself. You still have to really be like, you know what, no, I have to do this. And you have to, like, come out on top whether you want to or not. And then you kind of just have to have those around you to also see that. I'm like, no, you're gonna come out on top. Right now, it's just hard. You know, I remember going from elementary school to high school. That change was huge for me. Even though, like, I felt comfortable knowing that my sister was in there, you know, and I would see her, it still was a huge change. Because now I'm going from class to class, walking around, have to figure out when I have time to go to my locker. That's a huge change. And not only that, it's other kids from other elementary schools coming in. I don't know these kids, you know, so you're just kind of like, who's this person? Are they going to like me? Are they going to be judging me? What's all this about? But you end up finding your people, and I think that's what's really important, is you kind of just, the basic of it is getting your little group, those who are really going to be there and support you through thick and thin, you know. And in high school especially, like, they're going to be the ones that are there to support you, root you on, even when you do have a moment where you feel like you're down in the slumps. Like, sometimes it's okay. We all fall down. It's just the getting back up that's really, like, tough.
Exactly. And you find your little group. Your little group will come naturally by just being yourself. You will attract the ones that are meant for you just by being yourself. And hopefully along the way they stick around and understand you are there for you, vice versa. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why I really like what you said about, like, sticking it out and the perseverance aspect of change. It's kind of how, like, you hear all these, like, famous people or super successful people say, the only reason I'm here right now is because I've failed so many times in my life, right? Like, so I think that it's super important, even when it's tough, like, especially if you know changes are coming and you're feeling it, despite how hard it is, you know, do your best to dig deep and find that inner strength, if you can, because, you know, part of life is sometimes going through changes and being uncomfortable, but through that, we become, you know, we different, more experienced people, right? And the next time a change comes up, with each one that comes, you know, you'll get a little bit better at dealing with them over time, you know. So I think that even as hard as it is, embracing that change and then really trying to persevere through that uncomfortable feeling you might have is just so important, you know. And then your support system is there for when it is hard, you know, and you feel like you can't do it alone. Whatever that is, whether it's your group, your family, one of our other episodes, we talked about finding other safe spaces in school, whether it's a club or something like that. You know, having those people that can have your back when there's changes and you're feeling uncertain is just huge.
Right, exactly. And in all these podcasts, I feel like I always have these cheesy, corny sayings, but in this one, I feel like it's the most, I guess, relatable, like the most common. I don't know how to phrase this, but as a butterfly, you know, they go through their own changes. Like you start off from a caterpillar, starting from a cocoon actually to a caterpillar, and then become this big beautiful butterfly. That's just like humans. Like you start off small and then blossom along the way. And that's just like the whole I'm just saying, like, not just us humans go through changes, like the environment as well, like, you know, all the seasons, the little things like that. And change is necessary. It's not always comfortable, but you can stay in your comfort zone forever if you really want that next big step.
Yeah, sometimes change is actually good.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, you know, especially, or like when it comes to therapy, sometimes we lose a therapist, you know, and then you have to get a new one. That change sucks, but sometimes it's better. You know, sometimes they actually connect more.
Yeah.
So sometimes change is actually really good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Even changes that might seem bad at first, you know, maybe it's a move to a new place. Maybe you're changing schools. Maybe it's just changing classrooms. There's some changes that I think at first feel very scary because, like you were saying earlier, you have a lot of questions, like what ifs, you know, like what if the people here don't like me? What if I don't get along with this teacher? What if the class is hard?
You still have to take the initiative and just jump in at first, and because nothing is going to change unless you change it yourself.
Exactly. And some things like may seem very scary at first, like Jocelyn was saying, like turn out to be good, you know, like that new class you're super stressed about, you might get into it, and sure, like the coursework might be tough maybe, but maybe the teacher's really cool. Or you get into the class and you start doing this and you realize, wait, hold on, I'm actually pretty good at this. You know, so changes seem scary and like they're all bad at first, but try to remember that a lot of the times change can be really good, like Jocelyn said.
Right.
Well, that concludes our episode, and appreciate you staying tuned. Hope you come back for the next one. Till next time.
And again, since Jocelyn's going to a new job, this is actually her last podcast with us, but we will definitely continue on with our podcast. Long live or talk to me podcast. Okay, have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
That wraps up another episode of Talk to Me. We hope today's conversation brought insight, encouragement, or maybe just a moment of reflection. Remember, your voice matters, and we're here to keep the dialogue going. Whether you're part of the RISE community or just tuning in, we're grateful to have you with us. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast platform and stay connected at riselifeservices.org, online for mental health support, services, updates, resources, and future episodes. Until next time, take care of yourself, support each other, and keep talking. Thanks for listening to Talk to Me. If you are thinking about suicide, struggling with substance use, experiencing a mental health crisis, or any other kind of emotional distress, you can call, text, or chat the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, connecting you to trained crisis counselors 24/7. In case of an emergency, call 911